Once again, the hope of young people has been thrown under the bus as the election result from West and Central African countries have been announced, and their older presidents refuse to leave power. Now, from Yaunde to Abidjan, a troubling pattern emerges. Leaders prioritizing their personal continuity over uh, over what people want, or over what institutional resilience. So elections have become rituals of affirmation rather than mechanisms of accountability. Now, who am I talking about? Obviously, you can guess. It's Paul Biya of Cameroon and Alsassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire have won election as the first one is winning again, staying in power for its eighth term, staying in power more than 50, almost close to 50 years. The other one, his fourth term, meaning Alsassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire. What? It's not live? How's? Oops. But it was.
Three double touch. Yes. It's like maybe double touch.
Okay, let's try. Let me see. Something is not making sense. I really saw live. Let me see. Oops. Okay, so I see here on my part not live, but I think it's live. So anyway, now I am going to dive into this in detail. I'm going to share this video with you. So once again, the hope of young people has been thrown under the bus as the election in West and Central African countries announced their presidents have refused to leave power. So from Yaunde to Abidjan, a troubling pattern has emerged, leaders prioritizing their personal continuity over institutional resilience. So elections, in other words, have become rituals of reaffirmation rather than mechanisms of accountability. This video that you are going to watch is from Ivory Coast Alsassane Ouattara as he wins election. But I will continue also on the side analyzing the situation. What does this mean for West Africa and Central African countries? Let's see now. Now, Paul Biya, of course, he has claimed his eighth term by winning 53.66% of the vote, while Ouattara of Ivory Coast won a fourth term with 89.7%. So on the surface, these results projects their continuity in office. Cameroon's Paul Biya is 93 years old. Alsassane Ouattara is on the other hand, he is 83 years old. I'm not gonna go like how they came to power, because we have reported about this many times here at Connect Africa. Now, the how of this winning of election is, of course, it's extending a presidency that has spanned nearly half a century. That is for Paul Biya. And for Alsassane Ouattara, it's a constitutional maneuvering and instrumentalization of judicial institution. Why what do we mean by this? What Alsassane Ouattara did is that before this election, there were 4 candidates, and 2 of them were really a challenging one. So he has disqualified those people from being a competitor or running for presidency. The other one replaced his wife, but of course they didn't make it. He has won the election as it has been predicted originally. So that is what happened exactly. Now, continuing. Now, the question that what we need to ask is that these 2 developments reflect a deeper question confronting the continent. That is what it is like, are we practicing democracy? Well, that by itself is a very controversial term, or we are just staging it. Now, my reading or my reasoning here in this video comes from 2 articles. One is from Desiree Azogbavi. He is known as by analyzing every time when there is a summit at the African Union or any continental meeting, he analyzes what's happening. So this is one of them is his articles that inspired actually for me to come here and do this video. The other one is an article by Godfred Zina under the title, let me check, because it's important for me to give a credit. It is Power Refuses to Retire. So that is his article. So now this question, as it is asked in the article, are we practicing democracy or we are just staging it? So now the contradiction, what's happening in the continent is that Africa is known as the youngest region in the world, meaning having 75% of its population under the age of 75 years old, and that's what makes it the youngest continent. And also it's both connected and impatient with political systems that do not evolve with this young generation. So what our old presidents are missing is that for this generation, for this young generation in the continent, democracy is not just about ballots, okay? It's about participation, and it's about accountability. It's about credibility. It's about leadership that reflects their aspirations. And this is what the people in the continent are missing. And this is why you see the young generation, now known as the Gen Z, going on the streets or to express or protesting that about the leadership that they are having in their country. So this is what meaning that the governments lacks to read their population, and they just continue to stay in power by manipulating the institutions in the country. Another thing what we look at is that so now as a result of this result that happened in Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon, what are the messages that they are sending, meaning this winning of election by Alsassane Ouattara and Paul Biya of Cameroon, who are both, both of them are old people, 83, and the other one 93. Incapable. I mean, we have seen Paul Biya, he can't even do his campaign. Instead, he has sent his status. This shows actually this is not even something that you laugh at or anything. It's not even, it's disrespecting the entire population of Cameroonians, okay? Anyway, the message that it's sending is that when election, of course, lack credible competition, when power transitions are continually deferred, and when institutions bend to protect the incumbents rather than empower citizens, then the election becomes just a ritual rather than renewal that has considered or taken into consideration the generation that it is leading. So now both Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire, by doing this, what are they what are they demonstrating? So they are demonstrating by doing this, of course, how institutions are weakened when leaders become indispensable. This kind of person, becoming a personality cult in the country, and the electoral bodies lose their independence, lose their credibility, because they are just there to be an accomplice of the president who refuses to leave power, who refuses to give power to the next generation. And also what happened in these countries demonstrate is that constitutional protections are eroded, the civic space have been narrowed, and courts and legislatures have become extensions of the executive, meaning the presidents in the governments in power, not the institutions that checks, the human right abuse and others. So now this term limit manipulation and political dynasties have a long-term regional consequences, and we are seeing them already. So now what am I talking about exactly by saying this? Now, if you look at the result, it's a paradox of short-term stability masking a long-term volatility. That's what is going to happen. For now, all the Western media, especially about Cote d'Ivoire, they are reporting, okay, now the country is calm again. Alsassane Ouattara is the one who promised development, stability in the country. But then you would see a long-term volatility, and I will list out the reason. Because these countries are, fortunately or unfortunately, they are located in West Africa around the Sahel states, and the countries have seen, or the people in Ivory Coast have seen what is happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So they want the same leadership for their country. In fact, quite a few times the people have come out on the street demanding for the country to align itself with the Alliance of the Sahel States, because Alsassane Ouattara has become a country that is the right hand of France, and right now it is a country that is used to destabilize the Sahel states, that they are hosting the French military, the US military, giving space for French military who are there sponsoring the terrorists to have a training ground. In fact, the militaries that left Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, I said that left, but they have been kicked out by the current leaders. So they are just in the neighboring country trying to accomplish their mission to destabilize those countries. So the people in Ivory Coast, the Ivorians, have come already out on the street. Now that it's confirmed that he is staying in power after 16 years again. So you would see a long-term instability in Ivory Coast, unless they are going to, of course, use power or apply power to silence the young people, as they have been doing. So now the result is, of course, it's a short-term stability masking a long-term volatility, as Godfred Zina uses this term in his article. So this also fuels a public distrust. It creates a fertile ground for coup d'etats. But of course, not all coup d'etats are bad. There are good coup d'etat, and there is also a bad one. So what happened, for example, in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger is something that is demanded by the people. So that is a kind of luck. You cannot see that happening every time. So that is something. If there is luck, then even if a coup d'etat happens, Ivory Coast and Cameroon might get a leader or might have a chance to have a leader like Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, or General Abdourahmane Tiani of Niger. But this is not the case every time. So there might be another a coup d'etat that hijacks the situation, the whole situation, and use people's life after they have sacrificed themselves on the street protesting the government. Then another coup d'etat happens, and another military power who just serves again the colonial power will take power, and then the same status quo will continue. So in any case, it's this kind of situation creates a fertile ground for a coup d'etat. Another long-term consequence is that there is a public unrest, and of course there will be the terrorists which are in the region already will start to operate in this kind of countries, in the name of terrorist groups, and the extremist recruiting also will happen. So without legitimacy, stability, of course, becomes fragile. Now, there will be, and if you translate this, the effect on the economy of the country is that there will be lack of investors' confidence. There is, of course, political instability, which extends to also to not only in the countries, but also in the region. It affects the migration pattern. The government loses the civic trust. Use mobilization. So in general, when governments give the impression that the rules are written to preserve themselves, just to stay in power, as opposed to empowering citizens, then you have just lost your social contract. That's what it means. So as we have seen time and again, in the continent, democracy is not judged by how often elections are held, but rather by whether people believe their voice matter. That's when you get the credibility. Now, in all this mess, where is the African Union? Well, the African Union, it's not, not only the credibility of the governments in their countries, but also now the credibility of the African Union is in question mark, because its credibility rests on its ability to uphold the norms it has set: constitutionalism, peaceful transitions, and governments that derive authority from the people. So allowing exceptions undermines the whole project. So now, we have seen the African Union banning countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, I think also Sudan, and Equatorial Guinea for the coups that happened in the country. Even if this was in those three countries, it was people demanded, people driven, but still the African Union continues banning them from membership. Only on the status of observers they are allowed to be there. In fact, under the new chairperson of the African Union, they are now engaging these countries, but the result of the talk is not yet is not yet announced. So what am I saying? The African Union, instead of, when they see that this is what's people driven, so they have engaged themselves in talk. But also, where are they when governments who are, who they say are, they came to power through ballots or votes, when they commit a coup against their constitution, because the union, the African Union Commission, supports or promotes constitutionalism. So if that is torn apart, then why not taking an action on these countries? So its credibility is in question mark. Now, despite the challenges, I don't want to talk about all the negative things, but what do we have? Well, there is a still hope alive. How? Because we see youth movement like the Gen there are citizen monitors, there are coalitions of young people, women, and old people. Independent, there are independent media like here, like Connect Africa and many others. And there are also reform champions are demanding something better, a democracy that delivers and evolves with the generation at hand. So for real, in this time when the whole Africans witnessed the leadership of the likes of Captain Traore, Assimi Goita, and General Abraham Tiani, then the question to ask is that what can we do as citizens? Well, so democracy is not. I'm going to close it with that a quote that I have taken from the article written by Desiree Azobavi. So democracy is not self-sustaining. It must be renewed with every generation. Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire are wake-up calls to us. So if Africa's future is to be defined by opportunity and dignity, then the answer to who decides must be clear. That is the people, not the palace, not the presidency, not the past. Okay, so that's where I want to leave it. Let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this election results in Yaunde of Cameroon and in Cote d'Ivoire as well, in Abidjan of Cote d'Ivoire. That will be good, and it will allow us to do further discussion. Thanks again for tuning in. If you find it informative enough, then please share the video with others, and you can continue to comment, so just ask questions as well. Your support is important. For those of you who want to support us further, you can find in the description section our PayPal account. But also there are people who are supporting us regularly, and thank you very much. You know who you are. That was it, and it's a bye-bye from me.